All right, let's finish this other PragerU video that made me mad. Okay?
Right? You say you need to get help. When you see a girl with ribbon bones, she needs to get help. You know, they go after them in the press. She needs to get help. She's anorexic. She's not eating. But the opposite token, it's all about make them feel better. Shame is a good ingredient.
Yeah, I think it's true.
Shame is a good ingredient. On the one side, you have people who are overweight, which is a problem. On the other side, you have people literally killing themselves by starving themselves to death. Who do you think feels more shame in this scenario? Do you think it's the people who are overweight? Or do you think it's the people who are starving themselves to death rather than having any amount of body fat on their bones? Yeah, it's really counterproductive to wallow in self-hatred and shame.
True. I think it's also linked to, so in the UK.
Wait, did she agree with her?
She's not eating. But the opposite token, it's all about make them feel better. Shame is a good ingredient.
Yeah, I think it's true. I think it's also linked to, so in the UK, obviously we have socialized.
True, overweight is a lot more common, but there are also, like if you wanted to make this an equivalent comparison, you'd have to say, you know, anorexia is roughly analogous to like binge eating, you know? Like, those are two extremely unhealthy behaviors, whereas being overweight is a relatively fixable problem, you know? As opposed to like a actual like compulsive condition.
Healthcare, the NHS. So in America, I suppose in some ways, if you have medical issues, those are internalized. So the person is paying for them themselves. You have private healthcare, often people pay for their own healthcare issues. So in some ways, I'd say in America, well, it's choice because you're going to pay to fix it.
Absolutely. Body shaming can contribute to eating disorders. And on top of that, typically our standards of beauty that we tend to adhere to as a society work as de facto body shaming for people, which is why, without necessarily even having to be like made fun of, people will, especially young people, will adapt to you know, behaviors like bulimia or anorexia, or conditions, rather. Japanese food is always a good mood. Japanese food is really good. Yeah, Tiniest Boop is incredibly based.
In the UK, as a taxpayer, I'm going to pay for your choices. It's why I'm anti-socialized healthcare, because I have to pay for choices other people make in their life. And that...
Okay. Except you realize that you live in a society, right? Like, we collectively live in a society. You know, we live in a society. Is this new series of anti-SJW videos? I don't know. It's just PragerU. This is what they do. You know, it's their bread and butter, Kikyo. But since we live in a society, even with a privatized healthcare system, when someone has to go to the emergency room, it costs more supplies, time, and effort and space, right? So it actually, as a society, costs us less if we properly insure people, which means that they are then able to go and get preventative care. So it means that we're spending less time and energy and resources treating people with advanced problems that require more advanced treatments rather than catching problems early. So even if you don't have socialized medicine, as a society, as healthcare systems, we still collectively bear the burden of other people's choices. And that being the case, we should collectively turn towards a socialized healthcare system to more effectively bear that collective burden. This is extremely rudimentary argumentation, and it's not even that difficult. I was born with a peen and still have it, but I also identify as a man, just to pound the conservatives. It was a good yoke, Johnny Mills. A good yoke. Same with lip implants. Never heard of anyone like them personally, but people still do them. Yeah, I mean, I know trans people get a lot of implants. I have no problem with people getting implants if they feel they need them. You know, I don't have a problem with that.
That's not actually something I want to do.
Right.
You still have to do it anyway.
Going to need new knees or a new hip because you've decided to eat your own fridge, or 85 times the amount of food that you probably should have. I don't want to pay for your new hip. You go buy yourself a new hip. And that sounds hard, but actually it's just basic economic principles.
100%.
I also think there's a...
It's just basic economic principles. Fuck. I hate these people. I really do. If this lady fell down the stairs immediately, she would go to a hospital where she's cared for 24/7, and she would be fully healed by her country's socialized healthcare system, and she wouldn't owe a dime. And you know what else? It's basic economic principles. You know what's a basic economic principle? You know who has more bargaining power than a large multinational healthcare institution? A government. That's why a government can collectively negotiate better terms for insurance. And that's also a basic component of economics. A larger block of customers can negotiate better prices. These are just super, super basic ideas that these people don't get, and it's continually a source of frustration to me.
You know, at the moment with everybody going around like crazies with these masks on, you see people who are clearly clinically obese with a mask on, and it reminds me of people that go into like a Starbucks or whatever and order a hot chocolate with skim milk, and then the cashier says, would you like cream? And they go, oh yes please. That's what masks are on fat people.
Right.
They're the
What?
Masks are on fat people.
Right.
They're the cream that you squirt on top when you've had skim milk. They think that one thing's going to save them and one thing isn't.
I totally
that
agree with
mask
you.
is not going to save you from corona if you get it because you're massive.
Right. That's 100%. And it's
Okay. So, number one, masks are primarily not to keep you safe. They're to keep other people safe. They reduce the amount of viral transmission coming out of your mouth. That's what they're for, right? Even if you're wearing a cotton mask, it reduces transmission by about 60%. So, whether you're skinny or fat, this remains true. Either way. Now, if you get COVID-19, it's true, that mask isn't going to increase your survival rate, but it will decrease your likelihood, if you need to go out, of transmitting it to other people. They're wearing it as a service to this fucking Karen. And she makes fun of them for it. Also, the argument that these people deserve to die because they're overweight, like deserve to die from COVID, like she said that and they both laughed. The argument that overweight people deserve to die from COVID, I need to remind you, we started this video talking about how Candace Owens had anorexia, and that she then compared it to being overweight and like having acceptance for fat people. And then they just spent this entire conversation shitting on fat people. And who might get COVID and die? This is exactly why people become anorexic, because people like this hate them so much. And that's absolutely disgusting. Oxford, England voice of anti-mask videos. That's the new anti-SJW series. Is it now? I mean, it makes sense. What if Medicare didn't suck, though? Wouldn't that be awesome? Yeah, it would be super awesome if instead Medicare just covered everybody. Right now, we have 50 million we have 50 million in the United States. We have around 5 million kids who have no insurance whatsoever, and we have about 45 million kids who are underinsured, whose insurance doesn't cover their entire healthcare cost. So, I don't know. Like, I guess these people would just tell them to fuck off and die if they get sick or injured? I guess. Like, again, to quote this lady on the right, it's just basic economics, love. Just basic economics. You know, you say that into the face of a kid dying of leukemia in the gutter as you step over them with your gold-encrusted cane. These ghouls. Absolutely ghoulish.
It's a real conversation.
But no one's going to have that conversation.
And I have it the whole time, which is why I'm always in trouble like you are. You're just a few steps ahead of me on the censorship. You're a few steps ahead of me.
Yeah.
But we're in the same category where it's just having meaningful, honest discussions. And like I say, my favorite thing in the whole world, by the way, to wrap up the fat discussion, is when I'm at the gym and I see a fat person on a treadmill. I'm like, go you. You know what I mean? Like you're working out. I love it because you're trying to do something to change your life positively. But
these people just shat on fat people and told them they should go die from COVID.
when I see a fat person modeling on Instagram and saying fat acceptance, that makes me angry. I
agree, but I would also say, we're all assholes. And if
Okay, that's true. Everyone in that room. Definitely true.
I'm running, I will deliberately try and run past someone, and I'll hold my breath and try not to look sweaty, just so that I look tougher than them. Right. So let's not forget also there's an undercurrent of being an asshole.
Yeah, there is.
And I also deliver on that, really.
At least they're honest at the end.
Right.
Rather well.
I would say I do too.
Yeah, it's important.
I'm real glad that they came clean at the end of the video and just admitted that they're assholes. I think one of the worst things about the left is their constant appeal to empathy. I mean, I disagree. I think it shows that the people on the left tend to care about people more. I don't know. I find these people quite repulsive, personally. Largely because they don't seem to care, and their lack of caring gives them this myopic vision of society that goes on to hurt people. Like, yeah, when you aren't able to care, it gives you a massive blind spot. When you feel empathy, it is general in a specific case for specific person. When you're making policy for 330 million people, you cannot make that specific case or make law for all people. Right, but they're not talking about making policy. They're talking about fat acceptance. They're talking about being okay around overweight people. And their response to that was it's stupid. And, right after acknowledging that that sort of behavior pushes people towards anorexia. It's pretty wild. Hello, Alabama Man Returns. Hello, welcome. Empathy tells you what to care about, not how best to solve it. Narconthos, please send a mod your links, and they will post them. Just a way of vetting to make sure we're not getting bots or Nazi links or whatever. I mean, I think objectively fat acceptance is a good thing. Like, there's no reason to not accept fat people and be kind to them. I mean, I tend to think, I don't know, I don't think conservatives tend to make very good arguments for their positions, so the analytical part is a bit in doubt as well. Personally, I don't feel the need to give two shits about the personal health of others. Why should we look down on overweight people for a choice that doesn't affect us in a negative way at all? Exactly. I was a Nazi, but then a Nazi made fun of me and I left the Republican plantation. Well, I'm glad you're not a Nazi anymore, meaty joker. Here in Sweden, a lot of the policies that people hate immigrants are not made by immigrants, but by Swedes that get offended by everything and don't understand that their views actually create racism. I'm sorry about that, friend. Saying that the right attacks empathy when regarding groups of people because their policies dehumanize others. True! I think this election, it's a bigger win for the LGBTQIA community. I also agree. It's a really big win for the queer community.